Hey, what's up there, folks, and welcome back to the utter depths of the entire internet. You found it. You found me. My name is Kyle. I appreciate you being here, hanging out with me for a bit. And I've been an online reseller for the past 14 years, selling all this kinds of stuff, and it has truly changed my life. And that's why I love talking about it here on YouTube and sharing my experience. But in this video, we're talking about this stuff, merchandise, inventory, and how it's actually, some of it is actually losing me money by sitting on these shelves. Stuff that's not selling, especially some of this older stuff that's just sitting, is literally costing me money. And I assume as a reseller, if you are a reseller, if you're not, you should probably think about it. But if you're a reseller, you probably have stuff that surrounds you as well. And I want to talk about, in particular, specifically, some of your old inventory, how it's actually losing you money by sitting on those shelves and what we can do about it. So let's hop into that. So we're talking inventory, specifically some older inventory, stuff that's just been sitting around on our shelves. Maybe it's been many months or even over a year. A lot of that stuff is actually losing us money. And I want to talk about what we can do about it. And here's what I do. Here's my solution for this particular problem. And maybe it's a problem that you might not even know you had, or you just may deny and think this is a stupid idea. And that's fair. I do expect to get beat up in the comments because, this is the internet. This is what the internet does. If you don't get trolls and naysayers in your comment section, are you even interneting, bro? So before we dive in too deep, I want to share my sell-through rate because I think that's important to the conversation that I'm about to have with you guys, to show you that it's like the proof of concept. It's the proof of this particular theory that I have. It's what works for me. The proof is in the bread pudding here. I'm not sure if that's a saying, but I want to show you this. I'm going to put it up on the screen. As you can see, I have a relatively small store. On average, I do maybe 150 to 250 items are in stock at any given time. But my sell-through rate happens to be 3 to 4 times that amount. So any given time, it's about 300 to 400% average sell-through rate. And I know for some folks out there who have huge stores, like thousands of items, or some newer folks that are just building up their inventory, no matter where you're at, the concept of what I'm going to be talking about is the same here. And I know some folks out there are saying, yeah, sell-through rate isn't everything, which I would agree, because we don't know my statistics. And you're probably wondering, well, that's great if you're sell-through rate, but are you actually making money? Because that's the most important thing. And absolutely, I'm making money. I mean, I love reselling, but I'm not going to do it for free. It's my primary source of income. I would estimate reselling is 80 to 90% of my income. I'm a quick flip kind of reseller. I don't like my stuff sitting around very long. I like to move as quick as possible, and I like my money to make money. I like my money to meet other money, to go out on a date and to go to a fancy dinner in the movies and then go home at the end of the night and make more money, if you know what I'm saying. I'm just a quick flip kind of guy. I want to reinvest that money into more inventory so I can repeat the process, pay my bills, and buy more iced coffee. So the speed of this sale in mind in my store, anything that's been sitting around on these shelves for more than 6 months, that's a really long time for me. And that stuff needs to go. And that's what I'm going to be really talking about, is how to move that stuff, still make money, kind of cut ties with it, still make money and move on, so I can get that money that's tied up in these things, which I'm actually losing money on, which we're going to talk about very briefly here. But this stuff, if it's sitting around too long, I don't want it to lose me money anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it in one of the following ways. So outside of certain collectibles or unique items, brands, just generally stuff or merchandise that you have, that we all have in our stores, it generally goes down in value over time. And that's because of two ways. Actually, things that just get older, things tend to have less value, but also because of inflation. So that's where a lot of the concept of this video comes into place when we're talking about inflation. So consider this: money just loses value over time. In a 12-month period, the general inflation rate on average is about 3%. So that means every dollar today that you have in your pocket, 12 months from now, is only worth 97 cents. And that goes for your inventory as well. If you're selling something on your shelf is selling for 20 bucks a year from now because of inflation and that 3% drop, that's actually cutting into your margin. So if you're selling it for 20 bucks now and selling it and then end up selling it for $20 a year later, you actually lost 60 cents. That's 3% of $20. And that is part of your margin. And that might not sound like a big deal, that it's only 60 cents, but you have to consider this as well. One, you have hundreds, if not thousands of items. And the longer they all sit, especially if it's encroaching on a year, you're losing 3% on all of them overall. Plus, you have things like eBay and other selling platforms that are consistently, oh, my phone is dying. consistently raising their selling costs. The USPS and UPS, FedEx, they're constantly raising their rates. The price of shipping materials, all that stuff has cost that eats into your margin. You may only say, well, it's only 60 cents and it's on this one item, but consider how many items you may have and how long it sits, because the cost of reselling continues to go up year after year. It's always getting more expensive, so it's not just 60 cents. So obviously the natural way to combat that is you want to sell your items faster. And we're going to hop into how I do that. I already mentioned it. One way that I do is I tend to stay at the lower end of the price. Whatever something's selling for, I usually put it near that lowest price on the internet without being a chase or chase to the bottom scenario. I won't do that. I won't participate in those games. But certainly one way to keep up inventory and keep it moving is just to price it very aggressively so that it will sell. So hopping into this moving stuff faster process, what I do on the first of every single month, I come in this big, beautiful room of inventory and I take inventory of my inventory. I assess what's going on these shelves and I look for stuff and I think about how long of a time period a lot of this stuff has been sitting. And anytime something has been sitting over a month, that means I'll either change the title, change some keywords. Maybe something might need new photos, but most importantly is I'll reconsider the price that I have it for. And usually that means I'll lower the price. And I'll do that every month. So if something is still sitting after 2 months, I'll do the same thing and I'll lower it a little bit again, whether it's 5%, 10%, 15%, something just to help move that inventory along. But that's what I do every single month. And I want to show you a few examples of this stuff as well. Now, if it's in here and it's been over 6 months, that means it's time to move on to inventory heaven, or maybe it's hell. You know, if it's a naughty boy, then I guess it's going to inventory hell. And obviously there are also exceptions. Of course, I kind of touched on that earlier. If it's a really high value item, if it's a collectible or something rare, unique, that just takes some time for somebody to find it on the internet, those kind of scenarios where things might actually sit for 6, 9, 12 months, perhaps even longer. It would be extremely rare if something's ever in this place for more than a year, or if something's getting a lot of activity, like a lot of watchers, or has a lot of offers on the buy it now with offers accepted. But otherwise, stuff's got to go. Stuff that may have had potential at one point, but now, it's past its athletic prime. One of my more popular videos, I talk about how I move stuff so fast. I'll put that on the screen and I'll link it below. But that concept is based on a little bit of what I'm going to be talking about here as well. And over a 6-month time period, you have to realize that for 6 months for me, that means I run a sale every single weekend. Every weekend I run a sale. Anything that's been sitting from 7 to 13 days goes on sale, generally between 10 or 13%. Anything from 14 to 30 days, I do a 15 to 18%, and anything from 31 days and up is either a 20 or 25%, depending on my mood sale. So anything that's been sitting for 6 months, that means it's been through obviously 6 months of sitting on a shelf, not to mention, let's see, that's 24 sale weekends. So it had a lot of opportunity to sell and it just didn't. So that means that there's probably little demand. And despite all my changes and price adjustments, that stuff it doesn't seem like it's going to sell. So that means I go on to plan B, which is I sell that stuff basically at a flea market. And that's another thing I talk about a lot on the channel. I do really well at flea markets. I love selling on flea markets. It's kind of like a real live version of, or in-person version of Whatnot. I've tried Whatnot a few times in the past, and I liked it. I like that you can move stuff fast. If you've used it, let me know how Whatnot your experience. I know some people do some really well, and that some people have actually moved on from eBay to specifically go on Whatnot. So that's pretty cool. But for me, flea markets are kind of like a version of Whatnot because I get to move a ton of stuff really fast, and I'll take stuff that's been sitting for too long. I'll load up my truck, and I do it maybe once or twice a month, and I'll go down to the flea market. I'll get there about 6:30 and I'm sold out, because again, my goal at the flea market, just like my eBay store, is to move stuff as fast as possible to make some money. And I'm usually sold out in 3 hours, and I have anywhere from $600 to say $1,500, really depending on how much stuff and the quality of stuff that I bring. But it's a fantastic way to get rid of stuff, and anything that's been sitting around for that 6-month time period ish. a lot of times that stuff, if I only have $2 or $3 or $5, I can easily, at the very minimum, get my money back. Or you can have a garage sale. So consider garage sales, consider flea markets. If you haven't, or if perhaps there's none near you, then I do suggest something like Whatnot. And I think eBay Live is actually starting to do a lot of competition for Whatnot as well, those live auctions. But a fantastic way just to move inventory that you're tied up in, you have some cash tied up in that. The importance of getting that cash back when it's been sitting too long, outside of just inflation and the price of those, the value of those things going down over time, you'll get exponentially more money by taking $5 and getting a better piece of inventory with a better sell-through rate, or maybe even better margins, rather than having something that's going to only make you $5, $10, $15 and it took you 6 months, when you could have sold 4, 5, 6, 10 things at a $5 margin. You would have made more money moving stuff, flipping stuff faster. Obviously, always with all this stuff, there's always going to be exceptions, and I'm foaming at the mouth because I'm excited and I'm talking too fast. But it's worth it to look like a rabid beaver. And I forgot to actually mention, before I decide to sell it at a flea market or garage sale, something that I do consider is, will it sell on eBay auctions? And some things will do good at eBay auctions. So I kind of determine if it's like if it has a high demand, or if it's a collectible. There's really a very few scenarios where I might put something up for auction. But if I do sell something on an auction on eBay, again, if I only have $2 or $3 into it, I'll just start it at 99 cents. Or if it's a little bit more money, maybe I'll start it at $5, and I'll just let that ride for a 7-day auction and take what I can get and move on. But otherwise, if it's not suitable for an eBay auction, there's no demand, it's not a collectible, if it's oversaturated, just stuff that people aren't really looking for or don't pay up for, then it's going to the flea market. And a side note, I actually started buying stuff at garage sales to sell at the flea market. It's actually pretty funny, because at garage sales, in particular, I'm getting a lot of older wallets, older purses, kind of no brand name stuff. I'm not, going out and finding Dooney and Burke or Coach bags, or I'm talking about like the cheap. I'll actually show you some examples up here of something I got this past week. I got this cool purse for $1, which I know at the flea market I can get like $4 or $5. Same with these little coin purses and these wallets. I get these for, sometimes they're actually even in the free boxes at garage sales. So I buy all this stuff or pick up this stuff just to sell, to make $1, $2, $5, or even on occasion $8 or $10 if it's a nicer bag, for stuff that is just, you can find out at garage sales for the sake of flipping at a flea market. So I scanned these shelves here, and this is stuff that has been sitting for some time now. It's just an older plush. I don't remember how much I had it selling for. Hello Kitty, Squashmallow, and this kind of thing at the flea market, this is going to sell like instantaneously, like within 30 seconds of putting it out. Somebody said to buy this, because I'm going to put it down for, say, I could probably get like $3 for this, and I'm only about $1.50 into this thing, so it's a quick double up of my cash. Same with all this stuff. This is all stuff that I have very little money. I think I got this for $2, and I'll easily get at least $3, not a huge profit, but it's possible, depending on who picks it up, that they'll, because I don't price accordingly. It's like I kind of wait to see if people are buying one item, if they're buying 3 items, if they're making a bulk deal, obviously I give them a better deal. But if somebody picks up just this and asks how much, I would say something like, say, $5, and then they'll counter and say, would you take 4? Sure, that kind of thing. So just as we all do at garage sales, that's what I'm doing. These Pokemon cups, not much value on eBay at all, and I got these for $1. And that stuff's going to the flea market. I can easily get $2 for that. Usually some kid has pokes their mom or dad until they fork over the cash to me. Same thing as a little tie beanie baby side. A lot of these things, I got them only about 50 cents into a bunch of these. And I did sell some on eBay, and they were selling for like $20. So I've already made my money back. I still have about 30 of them left, and I think I've sold 3 or 4. So, I've made $60+ overall on these things. I only spent, I don't know, 30 or $35 max on these things. I don't exactly recall, but all that stuff's going to go to the flea market. I can easily get $2 a pop for these. And they've been on my eBay store for, I'd say, 9 months at this point, and I just want them gone. They're not making up or taking up a lot of room, which I know some folks will say, well, like, what's the harm in keeping stuff that doesn't take up much room, especially when I still have some empty spots and a lot of empty bins and all that. But it's not about that for me. Again, it's about getting money that has been tied up and getting that back into the ecosystem of making me money. Same with all this stuff. I can easily get $5 for that. I think I paid like $2 for that. All this stuff, again, just super stuff, super good stuff for a flea market, desirable stuff. Anything, people will buy anything at a flea market. I think I got this for like $1.50. Not a huge value on eBay. I think it was like $10 or so, but I can get, say, half of that at a flea market, or even like $4 for something like that. So that's just a few examples of stuff that has now been sitting too long, that has got to go. And I wanted to show you this. Like, I had a big media. I don't know if you guys have been watching the channel. This whole thing used to be full of media. This is kind of all I have left from a giant media lot, which is it's been a really good lot. But this stuff's been sitting. So I'm gonna actually, these are all brand new Blu-rays and HD 4K. Blu-rays, DVDs type of things, and I'm going to end up lotting these up. I'll probably wait another month or so, but sometimes those lots can go for some decent money. And then these little buckets are just random things that I get. Again, like these are wallets that I get for 50 cents at a garage sale. These were in the free box last week. So I just, took those, and I think I can get $1 each when I didn't pay anything for those. Again, it's all little tiny things that are either free or, a quarter at a garage sale, $1 at a lawn sale, that kind of thing. This one still has a tag on it. More wallets, and these wallets do really good. I usually get, depending if they're, the brand or whatever, if it's just a blank one, I can easily get $2 or $3, but on a brand one, like I think, let's see if that tag one is. This says it's Celio, don't know what that is, but it has a new with tag, so it looks, it looks better. I can ask 5. I don't know if I'll get 5, but if I get $3, $4, whatever. So just a lot of little free stuff that I can sell for 50 cents or whatever. Same with this makeup stuff, just all really cheap, 10 cents, quarter things, 50 cents, free boxes, lawn sales. I got about $1 into these brushes, and I think I have, I don't know, probably like 15. So I only have like $1 into each of them, and these will easily get me $2 a piece at the flea market. Little brush sets. So that's what I do. That's how I move stuff fast, and why I don't like stuff sitting around on these shelves, because I'm literally losing money over the course of time. So it has got to go. It's got to go back into the system and make this blissful, beautiful reselling life even more blissful. But let me know what you think, and yeah, we'll see you out in the wild.